I really believe that more men need shared custody of their children. And I also think that single women need to opt out of dating these men because more of them need to see what it takes to really raise children without some woman coming in to help out. Yeah, so let's get into this. This was posted in the Poverty Finance subreddit. This man says, I make $65,000 per year as a single dad, and I went to a food handout place today. He says, turns out there's a church like 2 blocks from me that gives away free food to any family once per week. And I was surprised at the quality and diversity of the items too. It was Trader Joe's and Whole Foods stuff that was like 2 days past expiration, yet still totally edible. Some of it was even frozen goods, chicken, steak, which wouldn't expire for a long time. I never would have thought that being a single guy making $65,000 per year would have to get assistance from a food kitchen. But since I'm paying almost $1,000 per month in child support, despite the fact that we have close to 50-50 custody, this is my reality for the next 8+ years. Then in the afternoon, I was in for a shock because we went to lunch to celebrate my anniversary with my girlfriend. I don't usually go out to eat basically ever. And for me, my girlfriend and my 9-year-old daughter ordering literally just sandwiches and tea and dessert, it was over $100. We had planned to go to the community pool tomorrow, but it said it was going to cost $15 each. So we decided against it. As a teenager, I remember going to the community pool with my friends for like $2 to $3 per person per day. And we went multiple times a week in the summer because that's supposed to be a fun and inexpensive activity. It just feels like having any enjoyment in life is now ridiculously expensive. How is any of this freaking sustainable for you guys who have it worse than I do? Edit to those rendering judgment on me. I didn't steal the food at all. I filled out the paperwork they had, entered my correct income, and they still happily handed me the groceries. In fact, I waited till almost the end of the event and it still wasn't even busy, despite them having plenty of goods that were donated by grocery stores. They specifically said on their website, we help everyone, anyone, regardless of income. I would never steal. I honestly think that more men need to see the day to day cost of how much it takes to raise a child, how much time, energy, and resources it takes to pour into children. Number one, I think that it would stop them from being so willy nilly with their sperm because a lot of times they can just drop the sperm and bounce. And the woman will just pick it up and they will throw a few $100s at her and she just has to make it work. Number two, I believe that if more and more men were doing the day to day, they would see like this man is like baffled or surprised at how much it actually costs to raise children. Right now, it is really challenging for almost all of us. And yes, women make things work, and we do so, but literally, we don't typically get any people like feeling sorry for single mothers or anything like that. Women don't get very much grace or empathy or sympathy. Women just have to make it work because it was your decision to have a baby. So I believe that if women get that shared custody, make them take responsibility for their children to the point where it's like 50-50, and you have a break. Let them do their part of the parenting role and see that way maybe just maybe we'll start getting a little bit more balanced as far as parenting roles because now this man he's in his find out season. He's like, oh my gosh, what is this? He's sitting up here talking about when the pool was $2 to $3 per person, but when has it been like that? Like, how old is this person? And yes, it is totally expensive to buy food going out today. Anybody that has a family that goes out will see that yes, every single time you go out and sit down, it's going to be $100, period. All right, you guys. Oh, hold on. Let me do some of the comments. I almost forgot the comments. KJ Connor says, we don't eat out often. We don't do daily coffee or fast food, etc. It's too expensive and honestly not worth it. I don't understand how people can afford their habits anymore. Things like daily coffee run, grabbing lunch with coworkers, smoking, drinking. How are people able to afford their habits when food prices are so insanely high? We have a child with medical needs and we have to buy very specific foods that are pricey. Thankfully, we can afford that now, but it's not sustainable. Add to that the cost of medical care and prescriptions, and we're barely getting by. Prices need to come down. Now, KJ Connor sounds like a man. The wild thing is women are still being pressed to have babies. Now, what happens when the child does require extra medical needs? This is what happens where it is extremely exhaustive financially, but is also exhaustive to the mother because many times the mother is the one who takes off of work usually or has to cut back hours or work part time so that she can sustain herself. So this is one of the reasons why it is very, very important that men are being held responsible and have to do part of the parenting. So the OP says, I also don't drink coffee ever, don't smoke, far too concerned about my health for that. I make almost all my food at home. Yesterday was a special occasion because it was our anniversary, and overall, it feels like everything is a splurge anymore. Even at what I make, which I consider to be a very decent salary, I cannot fathom how people who make less than I do are faring. It's horrifying. I read posts here frequently, and it makes me so depressed for everyone. So he knows and understands. And this is one of the reasons why it takes this type of thing to make the birth rate continue to drop. Because when men have to participate, they see how taxing it is, how expensive it is. They're going to be like, whoa, Nelly, let me pull back. But when they were simply allowed to drop sperm and they could literally just walk away, then they were more, I mean, why would they concern themselves? Because women would make this work on $65,000. Master Fountain says, I make a little less than you, and for 6 years, I've had to pay over $2,000 between alimony and child support. And because it doesn't come through a garnishment, it's all after taxes, which really stinks. I've had to become super frugal and try to get any assistance I can. But because my nominal income isn't considered poverty level, I have to get a second job instead. Every penny I make goes towards sustenance, medical bills, and clothes and school supplies. There's so many other expenses that come up when you have kids. It's crazy. When you really get to the nitty gritty, there is a reason why the birth rate will continue to plummet to hell. And it's literally because the costs are unsustainable for the amount of money that people are making. All right, join the conversation, y'all. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So this post was cross-posted in my BurbNBougie subreddit. It's in the divorce subreddit. He says, I regret not being more kind to my spouse. Now you can see that this is a very short post. Let's see what he means by being unkind. He says, my wife wants to divorce me and I don't. It feels like everything is my fault. I could have told her I love her more often. I could have shown her appreciation and not take her for granted. I could have done little things to make her feel good. I wasn't necessarily getting those things from her, but I could have been the one to break the competition and embrace her. Now she wants to move on, and the regret of not being able to go back and do things differently is tearing me apart. The regret is unbearable. Every memory, good or bad, stings like 1,000 needles. Any advice on how to cope with regret? I would appreciate any input. Thank you all for the support you share here. I feel like when these men write these posts, they are not telling the full story. Like, literally, why did she all of a sudden become cold? What happened? Like, literally, they are in their find out season, but they're not even honest with themselves. And then they write these posts and they're literally looking for sympathy. And they write it in such a way that it's like, I'm taking some responsibility, but I'm not really going to tell y'all what I did. But go ahead and make me feel a little bit better about my marriage breaking up. That's what I feel when I read this, because what is not being more kind even mean? So he's in and through all of these comments. London says, I will work on yourself and learn from this. Make a promise to yourself not to do this again. No one is perfect, but at least try every day to be better for yourself. Still Jellyfish says, I think it's implied in this, but OP needs to let her go and accept that it's actually over. Easier said than done. Once that happens, then use this to learn from it and begin to work on yourself. And then the OP says, yes, letting go is what my whole body objects to. So London Kinsey says, I'm not letting go right now. Married for 17 years, together 19. It's been 2 months. Why let go if I'm not ready, only to lie to myself? Will I be ready one day? Sure. I'm focusing on healing myself. And at the end of the day, if there is a reconciliation or not, it's a win win. Don't let others give you a timeline because I'm sure everyone will say some opinion. And the OP says, thank you. I consider myself a person that often reflects and questions stuff, but that can be a trap of its own, and you can still miss the bigger picture when dealing with smaller dramas. What is the smaller drama? Emo Donut says, I'm in a similar situation. Wife asked for divorce recently, and it was too late for marriage counseling at that point. She was already done. I could have done more, but I'm sorry, much more before it got to that point. I will always regret not trying harder earlier, but it is no guarantee that we would have fixed things. It has been tough. I will have to forgive myself and move on. Hope you can find peace. Your future is not in the past. And so the OP hones in on the part, your future is not in the past. He says, beautifully put. Thank you for your comment. I know it's not a guarantee that it would have made any difference, but it's difficult to accept. I haven't tried hard enough. So, are you ladies seeing what I'm seeing as far as this being very, very generic? So, he doesn't talk that much about what he did. So, I decided to click into his name and see if he has any other posts. So he has another post in the narcissistic abuse subreddit. And like I said, again, this is a really short post. He says, how do you know if you are truly dealing with a narc or you are just trying to cope? When people label folks a narc, they are simply, it seems to be a blanket term for somebody that I'm having some disagreements with. It's not what a narc really is. And that's what I'm seeing. Is like, she's selfish. She doesn't like me. She must be a narc. That's what I'm getting. So he used the flare, am I being abused? He says, it is easier for me to think of her as a narc. And when I read about how to know if someone is a narc, the list is so broad that almost anyone can fit into the description. How can one, with a certain amount of confidence, tell if a person is a narc or not? How do you not fall into the horoscope effect where whatever you read, you unconsciously shoehorn to fit your life because it's easier that way? How do you know it's not just a coping mechanism? I feel like at this particular point, he is just trying to cope. He's trying to make her the bad guy in some kind of way. So he is reading up on this just to label her so he can maybe move on with his life a little bit. Because, yes, he has another post. This is another one in the divorce subreddit from a day ago. He says, I'm not sure if I can survive this. I don't want to divorce. I want to be with her and our son, but she is not sure she wants to continue being married to me, and I don't know what to do. I cried my eyes out and poured my soul out to her during our talks, but she seems content and almost like she doesn't care. My whole life was tied to her. I'm all alone in another town while she is at her parents', surrounded by family and friends. I'm not sure if I will survive this. There's almost no one to talk to. My family is estranged, and my wife never liked them. I have almost no friends. I cannot summon a single thought that can pull me through the darkness that I am in. All I see is pain, suffering, and regret ahead for the rest of my life. I need her affection. It feels like I'm starving and would do almost anything to have my family back. I don't think I can do this. When a woman gets to the place where they are no longer talking, they are talked out. They are no longer asking for what they were missing because women do communicate. So when they stop, that means that they have checked out. And like I said, this man is so not specific. Like, why is she so cold? Why did she just all of a sudden just, get that blank face? she is she has moved on, but many times women move on mentally before they move on physically, and that's what it sounds like this woman did. You guys go ahead, join the conversation. Let me know what you see. I'm not jumping into all of these comments because it was just interesting to me that he has posted this, but these three posts, but not specific on anything. Let me know if anything sticks out to you. Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, share. I was sent this post and I definitely find it interesting. She deleted her account, but she says, from a parent, don't have kids. She says, I'm a reformed trad wife turned antinatalist, and I really want this to be a warning or discussion to other people who are considering having kids at any point in the future. I also want to disclaimer this by saying that I love my daughters. They are here and they exist, and it is my responsibility to take care of them. I pulled every string to ensure they don't have the kind of childhood I had. She says, but that has come at the cost of my mental health, and I do not want the same for them. Just as I have worked hard to ensure that they have a happier childhood than me, I want them to work hard to ensure that they don't repeat my mistakes. It's a difficult dichotomy to have somebody that you love so effing much right in front of you, but also acknowledge that it's not fulfilling to play the parenting role. She says, I bought the Disney lie as a teen, hook, line, and sinker. And while I'm still young, 33 tomorrow, my mental and physical health is in the gutter and is solely from having kids. Permanent sciatic pain, permanent 50% income drain, permanent stretch marks, permanent feelings of guilt for not spending enough time with them because I have to work so many hours to give them a comfortable life. Permanent judgment from the outside world because everyone has something to say about parents all the time. And even in the decade that has been since I had kids, the economy has changed, politics have changed. A sustainable future is basically impossible now. And having daughters, I worry about them. I worry about abuse, about teenage pregnancy, about how to help them obtain a smorgasbord if they want in a total ban state. Worry, 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 guilt, guilt, guilt. That's the state of being a parent. A mom that works too much, that she can't even spend time with them. They deserve better than this. You can tell yourself till you're blue in the face that you'll be this type of parent, but you'll never know until reality smacks you in the face. Don't do it. Just don't. You deserve more, and so do they. So if she is 33 and she said that she's been at this for basically a decade, that means that she started having kids in her 20s. And that means that she cut off her capacity to be a high earner because that means that she couldn't have joined the workforce or gotten any advanced degrees or anything because she was a trad wife. And now, because of that, and I'm reading through all of this and filling in the blanks. She is playing makeup where it comes to making money. She says, I'm a reformed trad wife. So if she's a reformed trad wife, then that means that she knows the downfalls or the obstacles that trad wives have. She says she bought into it, hook, line, and sinker, and now she is an antinatalist. Like, don't do this, don't do this. And that's the reason why I talk about if you do want to do these things, the trad wife to poverty pipeline is real. The trad wife to single motherhood pipeline is real. And people have got to take off these rose colored glasses and understand that you need to have a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, L, M, N, O, P plan. Because if you don't, then you're going to be always working from behind to catch up. And, typically women are the ones that have to be the main caregivers. It's just the way it is. So I say all that to say, so many times that women are going through this and now they are starting to share their stories. This woman is 33. She started having kids in her early 20s. Don't do this. Don't be like this woman because now she has completely, like, listen to this. Her mental health is suffering because of it. Some of the comments: you are brave for writing this, more so expecting the possible backlash. Keep in mind your concerns and experiences are perfectly valid against the possible dismissal of your thoughts from some people. Then the OP, like I said, who deleted her account, says, thank you, kind Redditor. The dismissal and invalidation does not bother me anymore, even though it used to. I know my reality, and I know there are many other parents who share my thoughts, regardless of what others may try to say. If someone doesn't want to accept or acknowledge that this is a reality many parents face, it's not my responsibility to make them see the light. They are remaining ignorant by choice. Just because you don't agree the sky is blue doesn't mean the sky isn't blue. Boxing Choir Gal says, as an older mother of daughters, I applaud your honesty and join you in entreating younger generations to put their lives first. And the OP says, that's the biggest takeaway I want to give my daughters and younger girls. You can be an amazing mother, but still not feel fulfilled and not feel happy. Sure, you raised your kids, but it was at the cost of you. Our girls deserve so much better than that. And that is the thing. People believe that women were born to basically be incubators and maids, and that's it. We are put on this earth to be incubators and to serve a man. That is literally what many women and girls are indoctrinated with, starting in childhood, from the church, from their communities, or whatever. And this woman is telling the truth on what it's like to be a trad wife. And I have been saying that this is the horrors, what patriarchy and religion has done to women and girls. It is setting them up, or setting us all up for the okey doke. We are more than just being an incubator and to serve men. We're more than that. So I am going to end it there. I do want you guys to jump in the conversation and let me know what you think about this one. My question of the day is, do you have kids? And if you do have children, what ages were you when you started having babies? I really want to know. I was 33 and 36 when I started having kids. And, I don't want to get into the I had kids young, so that's better, or I had kids late, so that's better. I'm just wondering when you started having kids, or if you have zero and plan to keep it at zero. Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.